Of all the editing tasks we do in AutoCAD, editing text is probably the easiest. That's because when we edit text, we don't need any special commands. All we have to do is double click. On my screen I have a detailed drawing. This drawing contains both single line and multi-line text. Let's make some changes to the single line text first. We'll make the assumption that this drawing on the right should have been section AA and on the left should have been section BB. To make the change, I'm going to double click on this text object. As you can see, I can edit the text in place. So, I can see my changes within the context of the drawing. I'm going to click and then drag across this text, and I'll change this to A-A. When I'm finished, I'll press Enter to accept, and notice that AutoCAD stays in the text editing command. That means I can come right over here, click once on this text object, I'll click and drag across this text and change this to B-B. I'll press Enter when I'm finished, and then I'll press Escape to exit the command. At this point you may be wondering how I underline the single line text. If I double click to edit, you can see this is no special icon here to add an underline. If you like to underline or remove the underline from single line text, press Ctrl U. I'm going to press Ctrl U again to bring the underline back. When I'm finished, I'll press Enter and then I'll press Escape to exit the command. Let's zoom out. I'll pan the drawing over and we'll make some changes to this multi-line text. Same workflow, all I have to do is double click on the text object. AutoCAD brings back the text editor, giving me access to all the same tools I had when I created this text in the first place. I'm going to click inside the editor. I'll press Enter a couple of times and I'll add another note. Since I have additional text, I suppose I could change this to notes now. I'm also going to drag across this and I'll make this text bold and italicized. I would like to add a little emphasis to the word storm sewer as well. So I'll drag across that and let's change its height to 0.125. When I'm finished making changes, I can come down and click the X to close the text editor, or I could just click outside the column. Another way we can edit text is by using grips. If I select this text object, notice several grips pop up. I can use the one in the upper left to move the text object. I can use this one at the bottom to change the column height, and I can use the one in the upper right to change the column width. I'm going to click on this and I'll drag the column down and make it a little narrower. When I'm finished, I'll press Escape to deselect. If you want to change the properties of the text, the fastest way to do this is by using the Properties palette. For example, I'm going to select both of these Bs. I'll come over to the Properties palette. Mine happens to be anchored to the interface. If yours is not, you can press Ctrl 1 to bring your palette up on screen. If I drag the slider down, we can find all of the text settings right here. I could adjust the text height if I wanted. I'm going to change this to 0.125. I could also adjust its rotation or width factor. Probably one of the most interesting settings is this one, Contents. Being that both of these objects are the same, I can edit them both by changing this B to an A. I press Enter to accept value. I'll then move my cursor outside the palette and let it collapse, and then I'll press Escape to deselect the object. Let's do the same with these characters. I'll change their height to 0.125 and I'll change their contents to B. When I'm finished, I'm going to double click the wheel on my mouse to do a zoom extents, and I'll zoom out just a little bit. As you can see, text revisions are one of the easiest tasks we can accomplish in AutoCAD. Not only can we edit the text itself, we can also modify its properties without ever having to launch a command.